Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Polly, it's for your sake alone. I left my dear old father, my country, and my home. I left my dear old mother to weep and to mourn. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home. It's grape shot and musket and the cannon lumber loud. There's many a mangled body, the blanket for their shroud. There's many a mangled body left on the fields alone. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home.
Okay, thanks so much for joining me here today on the broadcast. I'm James White, your host, and this is Critical Disclosure Radio, and we have a returning show this weekend here, our Saturday show. It's been a little bit postponed here. I had some friends in town, some other things happened, but we're back here with Pamela Olson on the show live to do a call-in, and this is the first day of November 2020. If everything's working properly, we should be broadcasting on a wide variety of different formats, including blog talk radio. And let me give the number out right now, and I meant to have it on the screen there. I think I did in another one of these show clips, but I'm going to put that number on the screen here just in a minute. But I'll read it off now. We're not ready to take calls yet, but when we are, the call-in line today is 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732. But before we're going to bring Pamela Olson on, founder of Save Our Children, and Pam's been a long-time guest on the broadcast, of course. Just a walk-in encyclopedia of knowledge, and has helped. Last time she was on the show here, I think she was up to 1,740 children that got walked back into their home again. And it's always a great pleasure to really highlight her and her great talents here on Critical Disclosure Radio and Northwest Liberty News. Pamela Olson, thanks so much for being here today. Always good to see you.
Good morning, James. Well, it's still morning my time. California fell back an hour, so it's still 11 o'clock. So thank you so much for having me back. I feel that we're really reaching people, and the awareness that you're bringing, that so many others are bringing. I'm so impressed. I have not seen this amount of awareness across people who don't even have CPS cases, because these parents are stepping forward, because you and I are talking about it, and so many others. I'm just wowed by all of you. I just am.
No, it's let me make sure this is the right one. Yeah, it's a group effort here, Pamela. Is that the right one? Let's see. Nope, that's the wrong one. So I got the call-in line here. I'm trying to pull it over here. I had it in another one of the there it is. Right there. All right. Excellent. Okay, there you go, folks. There's the call-in line. We're not ready for that just yet, but when we do, that'll be the number to call. Pamela, yes, as I was saying, it is a group effort. There's many hands make light work, as the saying goes. So that's really what we have here is, I just go to sort of the mouth of things, and you're sort of the mouth of things. Of course, you're a lot more action, of course, right there on the ground in courts and doing that stuff. But we're just getting the word out to the folks because, Pam and Jim can't do it on ourselves no matter what. Doesn't matter how big our YouTube channels get. Doesn't matter if we're on ABC TV every night doing these broadcasts. We can't do it ourselves. It's got to be a group effort. Everybody has to join in, and that's kind of what's happening now. And I think it's excellent. It's excellent to see. Pam, go ahead. Over to you.
Okay, so this morning, I just want to make everyone aware. When I tell you they know all about CPS, family law, and common court. Couldn't prove it until today. I can now affirmatively prove Bill Barr speaking about CPS, the broken system from the top down, as Jerry Milner wrote in his letter the end of September, beginning of October, and that many other division of county CPS boards have echoed Jerry Milner's broken from the top down. Folks, they know. If you haven't seen the Bill Barr talking about the New York, they saved 3 children from sex trafficking right out of a group home, I believe it was, along with some adults that were also kidnapped. They're aware. When they say human trafficking, they are speaking effectively 50% to this issue. They're well aware. So what do we do between interim of now, present day, and so many complex cases that don't need to be complex? So many new cases that should not be new cases are propping up. Why, Pamela? Why is all this happening? Because we're taking down the old system, folks. It's gonna feel weird. Stop screaming that it's corrupt. They know. We're aware. Simply state it as a fact. CPS is a defunct, broken. The trust is broken with us, we the people, and our government at any level, county, state, federal, knows. So what can we do with that?
Hold on a second, Pam. Hold that thought for a second. Are you telling me right here on this show that the numerous times, too many to count, that I have said publicly and openly, at great peril, by these people mean business, when I've called these people out as nothing but a child trafficking, money laundering cabal, are you telling me that that's all coming out to light? What I've been saying here for, I don't know, 18 months about this is you've actually got proof of that now.
We actually have proof. We have Bill Barr.
I'm blown away by that, Pam. I can't tell you how delighted I am.
Not that I'm thrilled with Bill Barr right now. I'm not thrilled with anybody in government right now, because if they know, that means they're effectively ignoring this issue. Why? If our children aren't the most important thing on the ballot, screw decency. I don't want to hear decency is on the ballot. No, it's not. Not when they're still grabbing our children. Not when 800,000 American children are taken every year that have nothing to do with CPS. Folks, they're all related. Do not think just CPS or father's rights or mother's rights or family law. No. You're thinking wrong. Your woke is broke if you're thinking that way. They know, and we're still complying. We don't need to attack, but we do need to be professional and sharp in our fight back for our children, for our rights, and really, folks, at this point, for our nation. Because if we don't grab our rights now and solidly state we're not letting go of these, we want these, they're going to take them from you.
Pamela, you know that it came out with an Epstein, and I believe this is all going to come out even more, where he stated openly that he targeted foster care children and children from broken homes because they had no natural parents to look out for their rights and protect them. I mean, think about it, folks. Foster parents, I'm sure there's some good ones, and I know there are. I've had some on the show here before. There are good foster parents, but ultimately, that's not their blood. That's not like your own mother or your own father. That's why a lot of these things, these children are taken advantage of, I think, Pamela, because they don't have any blood ties to anybody that's really, supposed to supposedly looking out for them. Do you find that as well?
I'm absolutely finding it. And God bless the outliers, the 20% of people that are just good, loving people and love children and want to make sure that they're safe. And they do everything in their power, even at their own expense, to make sure that happens. They are the far and few between for these parents. I have not met except one decent foster parent that actually understood what the system was and what those children needed and actually worked with the mom. Most foster providers are sold such a disgusting story. By who? CPS. Just like your therapist, just like your doctors. They want you to sign for them ROIs. My suggestion to you, especially if you're in the interim process, which is what we're going to go over tonight, what to do in your interim hearings. We've already covered jurisdiction. We've already covered deposition. Interim hearing is that third portion, and that's what goes on for 6 months and a day, 9 months and 2 weeks, 12 months, 15, 18 months. Most cases now that are complex are running at 20 to 30 months. And these are innocent parents that I can vouch for. These are innocent parents that, because they maybe talk a little too much or too fast or a little too strongly, all of a sudden, oh, they're nuts. Or, somebody's got a licensure and literally CPS is so terrified, stretch out an 18-month case, but not talk to mom at all because mom is licensed in a field they can't compete with. This is what I'm seeing, these complex cases that we've done over the last month, James. These are the people that are reaching out, people with complex cases. I'm talking about the most simple and most common when I talk here. If you have a situation like, well, I've already done all that, Pamela, and it's not working, then you need to email me at saveourchildren@gmail.com, because now it's time to go into the extraordinary relief instead of the
Isn't
normal.
it Save Our Children CA? Isn't it Save Our Children CA?
Yeah, I'm sorry. SaveOurChildrenCA@gmail.com. And I am plowing through your emails, guys. It's just going to take me a minute more. I was down for a week with a vertigo. Still a little dizzy.
Let me type that in
here.
here.
California and a blonde, huh? All right. So in your interim hearings, this is where your voice literally echoes out on paper. Court filings, petitions, motions. These are the two most common that you're going to see. One is a request to do something that isn't being done, and a petition is something to change an order that's already going. It's the only difference between a petition and a motion at its base. Are there more definitions? Of course there are. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I don't want to be one. I kind of like having a clean soul. Thank you very much. Because lawyers today, the biggest problem in CPS is poor, under-edified, uneducated lawyering. And that's not my statement. That's a statement from a federal filing civil rights attorney. You want to know what the biggest problem in this process is and why these cases get dragged out? Crappy lawyers. They take what's known as the baby bar. What is the baby bar? That's county and state statutes and mandates. Some of these people, they're your county defenders, haven't even had their license as long as you've had your case open. Why on earth would you accept somebody like that? And yet this is what parents are forced to. And if you don't have money to get your own private attorney, which that's not much better. I don't suggest anybody go out and get a private attorney unless that private attorney really knows JDC or family law. And you have to ask these lawyers. Family law is not JDC. JDC is not family law. Two totally different 7 layers of Dante's heck. Okay. And if they don't know, and you're not asking them, what does this process look like? Tell me what the forms are. Tell me what your strategy is. 9 times out of 10, that lawyer's never going to want to tell you because they don't have a strategy. They have no clue what they're doing. None. But they still want your money, don't they? And you got to keep $5,000 on the books. That's the new norm, guys, for a private attorney. $5,000 a month. That's insane. I don't know anybody right now that's got that kind of money. So then you say, well, fine, I'll go in pro per. Unless you know your rights, unless you've got your CWS manual, your SDM manual, and you are up on that court's protocols, because court protocol changes county to county, even within one state, which is why legislation must be written so that anything that goes on in the state, every single county must acquiesce to. We're not going to have 57 counties or 58 counties like we do here in California and have every single county running their own CPS. No. We have a state. Those counties must follow the state law. So as soon as we start changing state CPS legislation in all 50, and I encourage anybody who wants to learn how to become a legislative writer or a legislative consultant, get with me. Because literally enough of us stand up and say, not one more child. We're not going to be silent anymore, and we're not going to comply. That's when we get a legislator and we sit down and we introduce FFPA and whatever that state needs for that population. So when you guys come together, do know real abuse does exist. Real trauma does exist. 9 times out of 10, it's out of CPS. But we do have righteous cases, folks. People are sick. They do abuse their children. We must have some form of a protection net for those children that don't have what the rest of us have. And the way court is run and the way they deal with these children, or should I say don't deal with these children, they just merely house them like chattel, like a bunch of stray dogs. And there's no oversight. This is what needs to change and will make the biggest impact. That does not mean this is going to satisfy those parents that don't believe CPS needs to be up and running. Well, here's the reality, folks. The cops aren't going to do it. The doctors aren't going to do it. The nurses aren't going to do it. And the social workers aren't going to do it because there's no construct or infrastructure for us to do what CPS does. Does that mean we need CPS? Hell no, we don't. Absolutely not. Every single person within the sound of my voice, dig down into your heart and pray. Legislative consultant or legislative writer. We need at least 2 people in every single state. We're not waiting. What on earth are we waiting for? FFPA will only have the first 3 phases. We're in an election cycle. We'll be lucky to see the next 2 by January. I'm not waiting. These children need our help now. So please, if you're interested, email James, email me, saveourchildrenca@gmail.com. Let's get it together and let's get down a base standard that all 50 states should be achieving for these children. And that's going to include school teachers who call in must leave their full name, and that parent must be told it's the teacher or the school nurse or the principal or a social worker at school. If it is a police officer, that police officer, because these are sworn and oath people, they have to give us their license, their full name, and what it was they saw. Because 9 times out of 10, folks, when you're out and about, what you think you're seeing is not the whole picture. And yet CPS takes these children based on someone's 15-second perception of you and your life. That's not legal, and it's not lawful unless they can prove a nexus of concern. Get away from us.
You're not allowed to have a bad day. You're not allowed to have a laundry day where there's no sheets on your bed. You're not allowed to leave corn pops on the counter without, before you put them in the garbage because of all that stuff. I mean,
couple plates in the sink.
Yeah,
oh my God, you're a hoarder.
I mean, this is, this is, and the thing that gets me, Pam, is, how it all starts is they just, like everything else, the old saying, the camel gets his nose under the tent. The next thing you know, the camel's in the tent. That's the thing. They start real slow, and it's just, this is a plan.
We're just here to check on you and your kids. You're not coming in, lady. We're fine.
Well,
bye.
I talked to a woman yesterday. I'll be talking to her tomorrow here in Montana. We did an article on Montana Daily Gazette about her where they were anti-maskers. So the governor sent DPHHS to her house to harass her with her 15-year-old. And the DPHS officer was inside the house, and she'll be here tomorrow to recount the story. And he basically told her, I mean, not exactly, but I'm being pretty close. If you cooperate with us, we'll take it easy on you. Pretty much is what they told her. Comply. And she's gonna be here tomorrow. She'll be here tomorrow to recount that exactly. But it's written over at MontanaDailyGazette.com, folks. You can check that out over there. But this is this is about the most un-American thing I can possibly imagine, Pamela, is someone coming in and taking your children without a warrant and without due process. And folks, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, come on, Jim, you and Pam, come on, really, what are you guys smoking today? Because that doesn't happen in America. They don't come and take children without a warrant, without due process. You're crazy. Oh, really?
I absolutely do. And we've got video evidence, hundreds over the past 10 years. I have hundreds saved to my computer. There was one father that I saw on Twitter, and I'm so sorry I forgot his name because he did this beautifully. CPS came to his door. No, we're okay. And we have counsel. No, you're not coming in. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Close. I'm going to ask you guys to add 2 more things. Print out the CDC's latest numbers and their recommendations for COVID-19, which mutated out back in April, beginning of May. There is no new COVID-19. These bureaucrats understand that you don't understand medicine. That's okay. I don't understand how to fix a car. We don't all have to know everything, but we do need to edify one another when we do understand something that's in our scope and practice, and this happens to be in my lane. Any influenza that this has an RNA replicator that's attaching to our DNA RNA helixes, okay, that's not normal influenza, folks. That's man-made. That's how I can tell. Just that point right there. And now they're actually telling people, oh yeah, there's an RNA, changer that's in this sequence. Well, that doesn't come from nature, folks. We must have influenza in our lives in order for us to stay healthy as a human species. We see this with rabies within dogs, within raccoons, within possums. It's very sad when they do pop, but it's a very small population. Same with this. Core morbidities play a huge, huge story in this CDC. Oh, gee, it's only 9,210 people that actually died from COVID. And that came out 2 days ago. Print that up. Then print up where Fauci says, I don't think anybody should be wearing a mask. As long as they're distancing and washing their hands, they're fine. There's nothing an officer or a CPS worker can do or say at that point. And you thank them, ask them if they would like your copies so they're edified, and shut the door. Yes, no, and I don't know is all you should be saying to a CPS worker. Stop bitching about your mother, your father, your grandmother, your sisters, your brothers, your ex. Every time you guys emotionally speak, caseworkers are writing stuff up and twisting it and making it sound as bad as possible. So you're beating on your brother. No. No. So you're beating on your grandma. Nope. No, we understand you're beating on your kids. Nope. They have to prove it. You don't have to prove your innocence. They have to prove your guilt. And they can't 9 times out of 10. Be smart, folks.
Well, Pamela, the thing that alarms me, and you can you can give us some percentages here. How many times do parents have their children taken from them and are never convicted of a crime? Never charged with a crime, I should say. Not even charged with a crime.
97% of the time.
Isn't that supposed to be apparently a punitive or punishment for crimes you've committed against your children? I don't even know what these days, or even what kind of concoction they come up with. But seriously, if they're going to take your children away, wouldn't you think that for them to have to do that, you would have had to commit something that went to a level of a crime before they decided to separate you from your children? No, you're right.
This is going to blow you away. Believe it or not, every single case CPS opens, it goes immediately to the DA. Now, there are 4 sections to a DA's office: public, private, criminal, and CPS. 4 divisions just on this topic. It goes to the DA every single time CPS opens up a case. If there are no charges, there is no crime. I'm going to say that again. If there are no charges, there is no crime. So what are you complying with? A social secular entity that does not uphold anything above itself, except itself, and demands you meet their strange and wild requirements. You're too hyper, you're too docile, you've been beaten on. We have to take you through 90 days of pure unadulterated hell and your children, so we feel better that you learn from this experience. That's got to be about the sickest damn thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm an LFMT, guys. I'm not a Democrat by any means. I'm also not a Republican. I'm a libertarian, and I'm pissed.
And then
I've had it with this.
And then they hit you with anger management classes, even there's no violence in the background. They hit you with drug rehabilitation classes, even though there's no drug thing. And they have marriage counseling classes, even though there's not even rocking no turmoil in the marriage. All it is just to bring, because 25% of that
abort your baby, and I'll let you keep the baby you're pregnant with.
Heather Hobbs on my show did the video. Heather Hobbs said that very same thing. You're right. And you know what? The thing people don't realize, 25%. I had a person here on the show and showed the proof. 25% of all those fees that they put upon you goes right back to the courts. Back to the courts for all their, whoever knows what they do with it, their bonuses, their thick envelopes filled with cash. Who knows what these scoundrels do? 25% of all those alcohol training, abuse training, or classes, all that stuff, right back to the court. No wonder. That's not a conflict of interest. I don't know what is. It's like me going, it's like someone going into their boss and being able to manipulate their own raise. I mean, wouldn't that be a great world to live in?
Well, I'll give you a better example, because it's happened in California. Go ahead and murder people as an LEO, and then before you know it, you're investigating yourself as sheriff. Lou Blanis, anyone? Okay, if you don't realize we're off the rails, you're woke as broke. Wake up. Don't be woke, be awake. There's a difference. We don't need to have any more CPS comply mentality, because this entire nation is now under what it feels like to be in a CPS case. You can't do this, but you got to do that. You can't eat this, but we'll give you that. It's insane. This is a very light feeling of what it feels like. And this is a huge wake-up call for Americans who are like, oh my God, this is socialism light. You think? That's
profound what you just said. And I think there's a lot more to that when you just said, you know what, that's very interesting. That I'm gonna look into that and study that further. But you're right. They are almost treating us all like they would treat parents in a CPS case. You pretty much, if you want this, if you want that, you get that.
That's CPS. Comply, or we will. And then the threats come. They can't force you to comply. They can't force you to buy things, which is why ACA is coming down. Folks, we can do a much better job. There's so much money in this country, it would knock your socks off. We've all been taken down to pennies. I mean, just pennies. When they can literally perpetrate fraud upon the court by filing false narratives, lies, twists, taking out the truthful context and putting in their own. pushing biased information, putting up, oh, well, this mom might not be any of these things, but she's really mean to the foster mom, so we should adopt out her kids. True story. Just because of your behavior, you have to walk in there as an open-eyed shark. Yes, no, I don't know. I want this, and this. No investigation. There's no nexus. There's no apex. You have no proof. But I have proof that you have fraud upon the court, bias upon the court. The court itself is biased against me. Literally, you can demand that court due to the bias, especially if you are of one color and everyone else on your team is of opposite races. I am seeing this, including Caucasian parents that have nothing but wild and woolly liberal progressives. That's one short football away from socialism on their case and making us pay simply for the color of our skin. Same with African Americans. They usually have everybody but other African Americans on their case. Folks, if you think this isn't by design, your woke is broke. Every step they do is literally planned out. It's a 1942 military psyop.
Pamela, they change last names of and change one letter so you can't find it. They change digits on the files, so it's one or two numbers off, so you can't find it that way. We've had people, if you remember Cindy Absick on this case, on this show, they literally deleted the audio. She had it sent out to a forensic audio analyst. They deleted the audio part where her son said, "My sphincter hurts," after he comes back from apparently his 7-day vacation at Disney World, sponsored by CPS, not talking about Mickey, not talking about the rides, no tan, white as a ghost, yet his sphincter hurts after coming back from Disney World. They cut that whole portion out of the audio. I mean, this is a mafia. This is an organized crime. I mean, it's organized crime, Pam. It's organized crime. End of story. God, these people make me so angry.
1.2 trillion for Title D and Title E. That's what we're on track to have paid out to all the states, all 50, 1.2 on just D and E. Now, folks, have you ever known the government to start anything halfway through or already into the alphabet? No, there is Title 4A funds all the way through Z. And then it picks up for the courts because the courts get their own, oh yes, judges, lawyers, county counsel, county defense, county prosecutors, all get paid. Every day your file sits on their desk. Every month, just like doctors and insurance. Insurance, once you were on an HMO, that doctor got a payment every single month, regardless how many times you went and saw him. This is what I call a corporate grab for cash. CPS is acting and behaving more like a really corrupt corporation. And all of them hate one another. You will never get two CPS divisions to uphold one another. These are small goon squads set up by the great they, and those ghouls all know exactly what's going on.
They're rings. They're rings. They're rings. There's little kidnapping. There's child kidnapping, trafficking rings, and there's rings all across. Because as we've talked about before on the show, and we'll take a break here in a minute, and then we can open up the phones whenever you're ready. But we talked about on the show here before, Pamela, and I've had legislators on the show here not very long ago on my other show, my Montana Daily Gazette. These people have virtually unlimited budgets and virtually no oversight. None. Think about it, folks. You know the corrupt nature of the human heart. You tell me that you don't think there's possibility at least for corruption and an unlimited funded practically zero oversight organization. Use your noggin here. Choose your brain. I mean, Pam, it's as obvious to me as you know, because you don't even have to do a whole lot of research. Just use those two items right there, and you got to realize this can't go on.
Well, and for whatever reason, the moment the intimation is even hinted at that you believe your child has been sexually abused in some way, light to heavy, I don't care. No child should have any anything happening to them while in state's care. That's what makes them defunct from the word go. If you can't keep a child safe, if we would go to jail for what they're allowing to happen in foster care, then by God, they need to be under the jail. And I mean like yesterday. Get your slimy hands off our children. They are not your sexual playthings.
God,
stop it.
People, man.
We're sick of it.
These people
sick
need.
Of it. And CPS runs the minute you say CPS, my child is being sexually harmed, when we know 88 to 90% of children are either sexually abused by an older child in foster care, or by people in that home, they're foster providers, or they are trafficked. That is the brand new FBI as of November 1. 88 to 90%, 100% of children are traumatized just by being forced into foster care and or group home or kinship care. There are many bad families, bad grandparents, bad aunts and uncles, bad sons and daughters that are adult, that will literally, for the money and to get back at that parent for whatever reason, people are passive aggressive as heck right now. And it really is sad because it's so low educational and edified when we deal with one another. We don't have to like one another, but we do need to show compassion, empathy, and uphold one another. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay. That's no dirt off my nose, and that's no chip off my shoulder. Do know for your area what's going on with your children. And the best place to look, AFCARs. Look at NCMEC. We have 800,000 children that go missing that have nothing to do with CPS. And yet we're still fighting through a process that is absolutely hyper illegal at this point. Fraud being perpetrated upon the courts by CPS to keep these open. Why are they not under the jail? Because no one's calling the DA, because no one's calling their sheriff, not sheriff deputy, the sheriff, and saying, I want them charged and I want to lock them up right now. Lock them up. And no one's doing that.
No, we have to have the will. We have to have the will to uphold the law. And you know, the problem is, Pam, of course, a lot of law enforcement officers are involved in these rings. I mean, folks, it's a pathetic testimony to give. But just do some of your own research. You have no idea how many times. I had someone call me just from Montana. Talked to her just this past week, who's now no longer married to the man, but her former son-in-law. Her daughter was convinced that he was involved in trafficking and young girls, prepubescent girls. She says it went to the FBI and told them about it, and it died at that point. It went nowhere. After we told the FBI, it totally went away. I said, oh, really? I can't tell you how many folks I've talked to in Montana who have had that same story. They went to the feds.
I'm disturbed because I'm now
told
hearing
the feds.
this.
Yeah.
I'm hearing this now as well, Jim. That's disturbing that you're hearing it and I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no disputing it. I don't need the proof. If people are telling you this and this happened, and I'm hearing it time and time again across the nation. I went to the FBI, told them what happened, showed them what proof I had, told them what my concerns are, and they kind of went, yeah, that's nice. We'll go and take a look. No, there's nothing there. Meanwhile, your child is completely traumatized and is showing signs of being sexually abused, and CPS tells you, well, it's just your imagination. I'm sorry, folks. You know your children better than anybody else in this world ever will except God.
That's right. That's right. Well, Pamela, we're going to take a quick break here, quick commercial break to help pay some bills around here. And then what we'll do, we'll come back on the other side. We can open the phones. There's already some callers waiting on the line. Callers, we're just going to go ahead and answer the calls in the order that came in. So if you want to call in, there's a couple of 2 or 3 people on hold right now. We'll get through the calls as fast as we can. But you know, these are serious issues, and they're not easily explained in a minute or two. So just be patient. We have a lot of time left here to take calls. The call-in line is 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732. And please go ahead and hit the like button if you don't mind, and help get the word out on the show. Pamela, why don't you go ahead and give us out your email addresses, websites, Facebook pages, that type of stuff, anywhere where you want people to be able to reach out and get in touch with you.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a Facebook page up that's got a lot of great articles, a lot of great information. I have not been on Facebook a whole lot. And at this point, it's almost a choice, because that is a swamp of epic proportions. I am just waiting to be banned over there, just with what I have on my page now. Please don't leave a message on Facebook. Please. Email me at saveourchildrenca@gmail.com. You can also catch me on Twitter. I have a page up at YouTube. You can catch Critical Disclosure, which has a SOC tab, and we'll have more up there. I think we have Alabama because it just happened to be the very first state that needed to be done.
Oh, I gotta get down to that, Pam. I had a friend in town, and I gotta get. We're gonna be updating Critical Disclosure. I said I had a buddy who came in town. I hadn't seen him in 10 years, so it kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. We just got to get this election stuff out of the way. Once this election thing gets out of the way and this madness, then we'll be able to put some more time into updating the website and stuff. But I tell you one thing, Pam, I'm just so tired of politics. I wish it would just all go away on the 4th. Can we just like a week? Can we just not mention anything about politics for just 1 week? I'm afraid that's not going to happen. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you give out all your stuff? You did. Okay, very good. All right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. So we're back on the other side here with the one and only Pamela Olson, founder of Save Our Children, who to this date today has walked 1,740 children back to their home based upon her efforts and the efforts of her colleagues. That's right, folks. 1,740. This woman is a woman of action, and we're delighted to have her here. We'll be back after these brief messages here on Critical Disclosure. I'm your host, James White. Be back in just a moment.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Legacy and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
Have you heard of Protovite? The most common health concern today is poor digestive health. Unlike ordinary supplements, Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology. A published scientific study proves that Protovite is nutrition that gets in 100% of the time. Protovite uses the highest quality ingredients to rapidly nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking.
Protovite, nutrition that gets in. Buy Protovite now.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
Okay, folks, if you want the highest quality liquid vitamin supplementation on the market, you can go to bloodboost.net. That's bloodboost.net and check out the full line of Protovite products. It's great stuff, and the ingredients are, as I stated, top quality. And the wonderful thing about every product there on that website is it all helps boost your immune system, which is a key to good health. And the proceeds from the purchases of that website go and help this broadcast. Go to help this broadcast, which is how we're funded, folks. We're funded by you, the listener. And you can, again, go to bloodboost.net. That's bloodboost.net. If you want to support us otherwise, you can go to northwestlibertynews.com, the flagship, and click on Support Independent News there. Or you can go to Patreon, become a Patreon. We appreciate all your support. We have Pamela Olson with us, joining us again here for our Weekender show, the call-in show with Pamela Olson, the Wrecking Ball. And no, folks, that's not a disparaging term. That is a compliment to her. She wears that as with a badge of honor to be called the Wrecking Ball. Pam, the Wrecking Ball Olson. Thanks so much for hanging on after the break. We really appreciate you being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
Always my pleasure. Okay, so we have two calls that are in the queue. You want to take calls right now, my dear, or you want to cover a couple of things before we go?
Give me just 3 minutes. So
Sure.
I can do this quickly.
We'll give you 3 minutes.
When you're in your interim hearings, that's all these little every 30 days to every 6 months. This is when you have interim hearings. They will tell you you're only supposed to be in court every 6 months. No. You can be in court every 30 days. They have to hear you once every 6 months. So if you don't have a case plan and you haven't been in court for over 6 months, you can go and petition the court to show cause. Petition the court to show cause as to why this case is open. Every report, you should have your own that you're submitting, because I guarantee you those reports, 9 times out of 10, are against you. You're going to go and get your own UA, your own blood, and your own hair follicle and have it done by your own doctor. No, you don't have to go private. I always suggest my parents use the same vendors right out of the same county they are prosecuting you out of, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're prosecuting you as guilty until you're proven unfounded. This is how we make a record of every contextual lie, narrative lie, to outright fraud and bias. CPS, Minors Council, GAL, doctors, therapists, foster provider setups that set up for these. These people are absolutely out of their damn minds. They do just good enough to get their job done and will fight to cover that they're not doing their jobs. That's where the rub is in here, folks. So find the perjury and prove it in writing. These documents that you're going to be putting into your case must be backed up, because they're not going to listen to you. They're the one prosecuting you. So anything you say goes in one ear and falls out the other unless it's usable information for them. Yes, no, and I don't know is all you're going to say to these people. Very little information. And people, calm down. Calm down. Do whatever you have to for the 10 or 15 minutes you have to deal with these people. Stay professional, but sharp. And we all know how to behave that way. Hold on to it. When you get home, you can go off. Don't ever let them see you sweat. Ever. You stay calm and cool. That way they can't use any of their narratives against you. Use your neighbors, your pastors, past daycare providers, doctors, pediatric dentists, whoever was in your life up until CPS came into it. They can all call the DA, write declarations, professionals write affidavits. Okay, get those in. Pictures of your beautiful home. If it's comfortable to you, that's your beautiful home. Where your kids sleep, food in the cabinets, food in the fridge, working hot and cold water. You've got electricity. And yes, you actually have to do this, because they will not put a child back in a home, God forbid, that isn't perfect to their standards, which we all know their standards are somewhere down here in the swamp. Our standards for our children are up here. 80% of us exist up here. So they're already behind the 8 ball. Nail them in court. All right, now let it run.
All right, very good. We are going to take calls. The phone lines are. We're going to start taking calls now. And boy, one caller, marathon caller, been here for almost 40 minutes. We'll take that caller first. Call in line 515-602-9732, 515-602-9732. And here we go, caller. You are live on the air. Please state your first name and where you're calling from.
This is Martin from Arizona.
Martin from Arizona. How are you, Martin? Thanks for calling in. You've been holding a long time, my friend. How may we help you today?
Well, you jumped up on my screen as I was drafting a response to the Commission on Judicial Conduct, and I emailed you a copy of their response to me. And so we are right now pushing some. I agree with everything that Pam's saying. What we're doing is we're taking it a step further. We're saying that at every step of the legal process that she's describing, not only do you have to do everything properly, and your attorney needs to be on your side and doing everything properly, but at every step of the process, you have a constitutional right to have a jury make the decision in that courtroom if you ask for it, and that cannot be violated. And so if you check your email, I didn't have Pam's email until just a moment ago, so I was sending stuff to you.
I have a bunch of stuff here, Marty. Which one? I have about 6 or 7 emails from you, Marty. Which one you want me to open up here and check out further?
Hang on just a second, and I'll pull it up here real fast. I'm going to hit close, and then I'm going to look at The California Constitution, because that's where Pam's at.
Okay, juries inviolate. Okay, so let's see that here.
Yeah, just click on the link.
Okay.
Click on the link right there. It's Article 1, Section 20, Section 30. Let's see. It's Section 1. They call it Section 1, Section 3. It's actually Section 16. It's the Bill of Rights. It's at the beginning, Section 16. And it says trial by jury is an inviolate right and shall be secured to all. But in a civil cause, 3/4 of the jury may render a verdict. That's all you need to know. Okay, so now what we've done is we're producing jury verdicts, handing them to the judge and saying, these are orders that you're going to follow. And the judges right now are saying, well, I'm in juvenile court, or I'm in probate court, or I'm in family court, and we don't have juries over here. I said, well, that's not my mistake. That's you guys' I don't know if it's a dereliction of duty. Actually, the fact is you guys are not required to furnish us a jury, so we're doing our own. And one way or the other, the Second Amendment works the same way. They are not required to furnish you a firearm, but your right to a firearm cannot be infringed. And so in the 10th Amendment is where it says who's responsible for effectuating your rights. And if the government doesn't do it, then the responsibility falls to the people. It's the last two words of the 10th Amendment. And that's what we're doing in these courts. We have the right to a jury, which cannot be violated. The right to bear arms cannot be infringed. And if the government doesn't want to effectuate these rights, they're not required to. But the responsibility, therefore, falls to the people, and that's what we're doing. Now, judges so far are refusing to recognize the jury verdict produced by us. And we say, well, that's okay. If you don't like our jury verdict, then you go ahead and produce one that you like. But for you to say that a jury verdict is prohibited is, well, that's covered in the other email I sent you, which is called Federalist 83. Mm-hmm. You can click on that email and open up that, click on that link, and you go right down to the second paragraph. And this entire Federalist paper is devoted to what the Constitution does not say. It does not say that they must furnish you a jury in civil court. It only says that you have the right, and how you go about effectuating that right is we're not going to dictate to you how that's done, but you have the right, and it's up to you to figure out how to effectuate it. And in the second paragraph, you see where it says there's a huge difference between silence and abolition. So what we're challenging these judges on right now is, where does it say that what I'm doing, which is furnishing my own jury in this court case over here, is prohibited? Because anything that's not prohibited is allowed. This is where they're vulnerable. Everything else is, we can go in and we can make an impassioned argument. Yes, it's the right thing to do. You should be giving us due process and everything. But the fact of the matter is, if you scroll down this document towards the bottom, and you'll find a paragraph that starts with the excellence of trial by jury. Mm-hmm. It's in the middle. It's in the middle. Okay. Now in here, it says the second sentence is the strongest argument in its favor is that it is a security against corruption. So the purpose of a jury in these courts is to prevent corruption. So this is Hamilton. This is the guys that drafted the Constitution. They put the right in there, it cannot be infringed, but they don't say who's in charge of effectuating it. And they did that for a reason, because they said there's so many different ways you could do it. We would screw it up. That's in this document. And so if the common sense tells you that if the purpose of a jury is to prevent corruption, and we allow these people through fraud, that's what it is. It's a fraud. When they say you can't have one, that's false. It just says it's your job to furnish your own. If you don't know that, we're not going to tell you. And so if you allow them to take a jury out of the court, and the purpose of a jury is to prevent corruption, you allow them to take it out, then what is the result that you would reasonably expect? Corruption. And that's why we're all on the phone right now.
Well, Martin,
because the corruption is rampant in these courts. Tell me I'm wrong.
Martin, no, you've done great work. You've been on my show before, And what I think we probably need to do is have you come back on like as a guest and cover this like, in detail, because we want to kind of leave this. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I mean, you do great work, and I love your emails. Like I said, you've been a guest on my show, but I want to try to kind of have people that are being victimized call in so they can get some remedies from Pam. But
okay,
yeah,
fine.
but I think we
That's
would.
fine.
I would, like I said, I mean, I talked to Pam after the show, but I think having a special show with you on as a guest in a segment and going over this stuff, that would be much more than like on the fly on a call. I want to promote it and have people tune in, because this is important information. I mean, this could change the whole game. This could be a game changer if we could get juries.
It would put us in charge of the courts instead of the judges.
Right.
So you're right.
Yeah.
It's giving power back to the people. Have you heard Trump say that?
Indeed.
I have. He says we're giving power back to the people, and that's who has the authority under the Constitution in these courts that we're talking about, in every single judicial proceeding that they have, and they have a whole bunch of them, like Pam says. And as soon as people understand that and do what's necessary to put those in, so we're just furnishing the juries and handing the verdict to the judge and saying, here's the orders you're going to follow, and they don't know what to do with it. They're completely flummoxed right now. And so we're pushing them.
Go ahead, Pam. Did you have something you wanted to say, Pam?
Yeah, I want to teach everyone how they can do that right now. We don't have to wait. Martin is absolutely 100% on. And Martin, do look up California Counselor Rules 2.1 through 2.4.1. That is what lawyers that they design to you when you get your county pretender. Sorry,
Agreed.
Lawyers. When you get your
Agreed.
county pretender, there are certain things they must meet. And this is California's, but all 50 states have them. And I have all 50 states. For California, it's Rule 2.1 through 2.41. Quite literally, it states, if the client states, I want a jury, that county pretender must sign off of your case. The state must give you a real attorney, and you file that where? In state district court. And the state district now takes the jurisdiction over your county common law court, and they then adjudicate whether or not this case requires a jury. Why is this a problem? We all scream, I want a jury. Okay. For a non-constitutional court, if I have a case and there's no crime and you're going to take my children away from me, I'm not going to trust a common law court to hear my case, which is why we elevate it and put it in the district. So many parents do not know you can do this. It is the big push I had from 2016 to 2018, and no parent will do it. And all you have to do is file in pro per. You don't have to have a lawyer to file. Hey, state district court, does this look like I've broken any of California's laws? Oh, this is just a common law, social, secular, monarchical system to steal my child so that county can get cash? I want this absolutely turned down right now. Show cause why this is open. District court is where all of our constitutional under the state, not the Fed, the state resides. Start pressing in on these districts. Now, guess what? These district courts know that there is a flood of parents getting ready to hit using this because we've used everything else and it doesn't work. Why? Because the minute we find a way to go forward, they put us 10 steps back by changing something, or like what we're in now, complete chaos. What parent is even hearing from their caseworker on a regular basis? No one. It is a world gone mad. So folks, go clean, keep it simple. Take the next natural logical step, which is I'm going to take this up out of common law and I'm going to plop this down in my state district and see how my state deals with me. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the result you want, but there are still going to be parents who are screwed because district court has no idea about JDC, child protection, or any of the welfare and institution codes that common law thrives on, like a vampire in the night on Halloween.
Martin, did you want to comment on that, brother?
Well, yeah, there's when she says district court, are you talking about U.S. district court, meaning the federal court, or are you talking about a higher level of the state court in your state? Because different states have different courts.
State civil. Here in California, it's state district court. We are the District of California in this federal republic. So state civil, I think, is what you would probably recognize it as in Arizona.
So what I've got, I just got this like 2 days yesterday, is a response back from the Commission on Judicial Conduct, and they said, we are not going to, they're in the middle of evaluating the complaint because our state Superior Court, and that's what they call it in our state, Superior Court, the judge ruled, well, you don't have juries in juvenile court. Oh, okay. Well, then what about the Constitution then? Did you forget about that? And, oh, by the way, the Supremacy Clause has to be stated in every single case if you want to use your constitutional rights. And the other thing I've discovered is that lawyers won't do this because they're governed by the court rules, not the Constitution. If they violate the court rules, they can be disbarred, and they will be disbarred.
Because
so they
lawyers are not loyal to America. Lawyers are a bar under the common law, which is monarchical, which is England.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got another.
The last thing I wanted to.
Go ahead, Martin. Go ahead.
The last thing I wanted to throw at you just is the Chevron doctrine, which is a Supreme Court decision, Chevron versus somebody, and it says that the state courts must show deference to the administrative agencies because their rules are so complicated that the judges can never be expected to understand all that stuff. So in our state, the judges rule in conformance with the recommendations of CPS 99.96% of the time.
Right.
And that's because of the Chevron doctrine. And the juries are the remedy for that as well. So I'm just throwing, I sent you a copy of that. Clarence Thomas wrote a piece on it back in January, saying that this is something that's very dangerous and very detrimental to the process. That. We need to revisit.
I remember that. I'm going to send all the emails you sent to me, Martin. I'll tell you what. Take down Pam's email address as well. It sounds like you two need to start. Oh, you did.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, Save Our Children CA. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Very good, Martin Lynch. Thanks so much. As I said, Marty, we'll talk offline here, and maybe get you on here. We'll cover this, in detail with documentation and be all ready and everything. Like I'll be ready for you. I wasn't ready for you today because I didn't know you were going to do all that. But that's good. It's okay. It's good stuff, man.
Well, that's okay.
Thank you for calling in.
I just was waiting, and I thought, I'll send some stuff.
No, it's all good.
So,
Martin Lynch, thanks for all your great work. We'll be in touch with you, brother.
Sam. Thank you.
Okay, Marty.
Okay.
See you, Marty. Thanks, buddy. Martin Lynch, one of the good guys, working really hard, folks, working really, really hard to help take down this criminal child trafficking, money laundering cabal known as Child Protective Services. It may be named different in your town, but believe me, it's all the same freaking evil. It all goes back to the same evil.
Let me throw this out to your audience real quick before we pick up the next call. If you can't get your documents, you can't get your files, stop screwing around. Get a writ of mandamus and file it on your elected county clerk. They must give you, whether your case is 18 months, 8 days, 8 years. It doesn't matter. That's information for you. Lawyers telling you, well, gee, that was over a year ago. I don't think I can help you. That is an ineffective assistance of counsel on that butthole immediately. Lawyers can always get your stuff. If it is over 3 years, it gets moved and it is in the warehouse right behind the courthouse is where they keep both your files, a court docket file and a CPS case file. You want both. You want a writ of mandate or a writ of mandamus, and you serve it on them. In California, that is either form 827 or 837. You put that down. You have your judge, you file it. You have your judge go ahead and approve it. No one can keep your records from you. Even people like Sean McMillan wait 18 to 23 months to get their clients' files, which by that time, their federal case is already over or their state case is already over. Writ of mandamus. They have 30 days to get you every document with your name on it or your child's name on it.
It's a rigged system. It's all rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged.
Oh, yeah.
It's rigged against
insane.
The parents. It's rigged against the parents.
It's insane.
Folks, 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732. And of course, hate to have to say this, but the rules of the call-in line are you don't have to agree with myself or Pam. Just don't be abusive and don't use vulgarity because we're not really a vulgar show. We're going to take another caller here. Caller, you've been holding for almost 40 minutes. Thanks so much for hanging on the line. You are live on the air. Please state your first name and what state you're calling from. Go ahead, caller. You've been holding a long time. I don't want to cut you off. Go right ahead. It's you.
Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Brittany. Hey.
Hey.
How are you doing, Mr. White?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Brittany?
All right. As okay as I can be without my baby son.
I understand. You're on the line with Pamela. Do you have a question for Pamela?
Hi, Miss Olson. I just wanted to commend you for everything you're doing. I'm fighting tears. I grew up in the foster care system myself, and my children have been seized from me twice now since my oldest daughter was born in 2012. And this time, the first time, they had a good reason. Essentially, they could have handled it a different way. However, last December 10th, they seized my children with no paperwork, no warrant, no judge-signed petition. There wasn't a show cause hearing. They made sure that we had no idea what we were supposed to do in the very beginning. I knew a lot from the previous case, but I still hadn't learned as much as I know now. And I just want to commend you for everything you're doing, because us parents and our children need plenty of people like you out there.
God bless you, Brittany. This breaks my heart, guys. I work every day. I'm like Jim. I think we maybe get 4 to 6 hours of sleep, maybe a night. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I've only had Save Our Children Up for about 4 because I had to research. So I've got about 10 years of research into this. And I've got to tell you, the longer I'm in it, the worse and worse and worse things I'm finding, I'm proving, and I'm seeing. And I hate to say it, but stories like yours are not rare. They're really common, and it keeps me up at night. I mean, folks, I lay there sometimes 2 or 3 hours before I can go to sleep. So I know I'm right there with the pool of people who have been traumatized, robbed, abused by a system. And to add salt to the wound, take your child on top of it. It has affected me in a way I will never get off this topic until the solution is applied, and then I'll find a different topic that we can go work and solve on. But until this is done, our children matter. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. Well, except for Luciferian. I just don't care. You are not to be molested in your person, papers, or your children, who are no longer just Fourth Amendment property. As of January 2020, our current POTUS, like them or hate them, defined for the first time in this nation's 240 plus year history, they're human beings. Why are Democrats fighting so hard against that? Because that closes down Roe v. Wade, which closes down Planned Parenthood. Folks, if you don't understand why they're pushing what they're pushing, your woke is broke. Wake up instead. Yep. Okay, please. Yes, people like Brittany are all over this nation. Who's there to help her? I'm one person. James is one person. Please, if you feel led, reach out to us. Let us train you and help you to become an advocate. You don't have to know a whole lot. You don't have to become an outspoken person. You don't even have to go on TV if you don't want to. Let us show you how to help your fellow man. Let us show you how to raise people up, not step on them and squash them down. That's not who we are as American citizens. I love my American family. And most of you, 90% of you, are excellent parents, loving, caring parents. And our lives don't need to look alike. We're not clones. Thank God we're all different. Brittany, you hang in there. Know you're on my heart, and God bless you.
Did you have?
Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brittany. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I did want to ask Miss Olson if it's okay. There's a few different things, but I'll keep it short so someone else can talk also. What would I do what paperwork would I submit if they completely skipped my review hearing in North Carolina? We were supposed to have our adjudication and dispositional hearing early February, and that was when they were talking about locking things down. So they continued our court case that day. We didn't get our adjudication and dispositional hearing until June. Then September would have been our review hearing. Lo and behold, we walk into court early September, and it is a permanency planning hearing. No one will acknowledge it. No one will do anything. And now our next court date, which legally by law doesn't have to be for 6 more months from September because it was a permanency planning hearing, isn't until February 2021.
Sounds like you were railroaded. I would put in 3 different documents. I would put in for a judicial review. Regardless of all things, that court is not operating as it should, and I don't want to hear COVID as a freaking reason why. COVID's dead. In case you guys don't know it, COVID is dead. Okay, so I want a judicial review. They did not follow PMP. Find the perjury and prove it. Whenever you make these filings, show where they did not follow North Carolina's PNP for that county, for that courthouse. And it's very easy to do. You go on pacer.gov, you look up your PNP law by your county and state, and quite literally, you will see at least 50 points of malfeasance to outright dereliction of duty. That's also an IAC on your attorney, whoever he or she may be, because they're not doing their jobs. And then that's also a call to your board, your county board, whatever it is, magistrates, commissioners, supervisors, whatever they call themselves. You are going to file a complaint with them, as well as DHHS Civil Rights Office, the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights. Those are your 4. I said 3, I meant 4. Lets them know this process is so screwy. Even if there was something there, unless you're in jail, obviously you haven't broken the law. So whether they had cause to be there or not, that means they must help you bring everything up and re-enjoin you with your children, not tear you apart. So they've already screwed up in this case. Unless you're hurting your kids and you're in jail, there is absolutely no reason for you to be without your children or have your children adopted out.
Yes,
period.
Ours was started over financial instability, believe it or not.
No. They cannot take your children just because you're single and poor or a couple and poor. Instead, they must offer you housing, EBT, medical, gas, training, whatever. So if they've taken your child based on you're poor, honey, you got them by the Carnucci.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, very good, caller. Welcome. Thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate that. And call in again. 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732. Looks like there was a Montana caller on there, and they dropped off. Call back if you'd like. Speaking of Montana, let's. I want to bring this up here, Pam. I want you to check out this headline if you can see this. I'm not sure if you saw this. I posted this out here, but this is this is great. Montana CPS harassing homeschool families who don't mask up, and of course we have it's linked to Debbie Westlake, who was on my show here. But they the woman in the article right here will be on my show tomorrow. Let's play this audio here real quick, and this kind of give you an idea, folks, of the thuggery we're dealing with here. And we're going to have the person who's actually on the other end of this on tomorrow. So here we go.
To the main menu. Hi, Russ. This is Megan with the Central Montana Health District. I am calling in regards to your Facebook post, as we did receive a complaint. I would like to talk with you about it because mask mandate is not optional, and by order of health officer, we can shut you down if you refuse to comply. So please give me a call back. Phone number is 535-7466, and if I fail to hear from you, I'll keep calling, or I'll pay you a visit in person. Thanks. Bye.
Or I'll pay you a visit in person.
Bring it. Come on out. Here's my CDC. Here is my Fauci. Yes, no, I don't know. Get the heck away from my door. Do not let them anywhere near you. And if you're homeschooling, guess what? You live with those children. You don't have to wear a mask inside your car.
Why is Child Protective Services, why is DPHHS not a law enforcement agency contacting somebody based upon their we saw your Facebook post, so we're calling you at your house to harass you? Who the hell are these people? Who are these people?
Make you angry. They're the arbiters of common law, social, secular engineering of our society to their liking. Comply, comply, comply. Let me use my statutes and mandates, which are not laws, and they're not necessarily lawful or legal. I'm going to say that again. Mandates and statutes are suggestions from the state of what you should do. They are not laws. They cannot force you to follow them. These are, hey, a hurricane is coming. You may want to evacuate. Unless there is a government, either from your state and or, from your governor or your AG or from the Fed, they can't make you do anything. Why? We have a constitutional right to be unharassed in our person, papers, and property. Period. End of story. So these people are using common law as a way to have a standing on to push their statutes and mandates. I would have called that woman back and said, by what constitutional authority are you calling me? Watch them go, what? I don't have a constitutional right to call you. Then get off my phone. Click. Let them come out to your house. Go ahead. Make sure you grab a neighbor or you've got somebody else there for when they're there and videotape the entire thing. These people are forcing a comply, or we're going to fine you. Well, really? Because there's a guy in New York that just won that was fined for $10,000 in New York for opening up and using masks as a way to keep his restaurant open in New York. Folks, the judges are with us on this one. They all know it's a farce. Make them come out to your house, videotape it, and then call your DA and say, why the heck is this non-oath, non-sworn, non-officer of anything coming out to my house and telling me what I need to do? They're a private citizen as far as I'm concerned. They're on common law standing. That's what you tell your sheriff.
They're not sworn officers. They're not sworn officers. They haven't taken any academy training or any of the book work or any of the constitutional work that's necessary when you become these people are making $12, $15 an hour, if that much. I mean, just out of high school. I mean,
in California, these people make bank, James. They don't make minimum wage. Are you out of your mind? Maybe for the first 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Once they're in that third year, these people are raking in your normal salary. Your normal middle class salary, $110 to $130, and they get incentives, and they get full medical,
they get incentives,
and they get full dental, and full vision, and at 10 years, they are usually, most commonly, fully tenured, so they get to pull that paycheck for the rest of their life.
And they get trophies, and they get parties if they get the most amount of kids adopted out. Oh yeah, this is a gaggle of demons, folks. It's a gaggle of demons. We got another ghouls, right? Exactly. We got another caller coming in. It looks like it's a Montana caller. So as I know it's a Montana number, so I'm just going to ask you, caller, please state what city in the great state of Montana are you calling from? You're live on air. Go ahead, caller. You're up.
So I'm from Great Falls, Montana, and I belong to a group to protect Montana's kids. And because of this fact, I have been retaliated and harassed and so on, as only the experts can do. For example, they took my grandkids that I was fostering, they took them off of the school bus and scattered them. And one of them, the oldest granddaughter, was lost in the system for 2 years. I called the DFS Oversight Committee chairman to ask if he could find out what the deal is with my granddaughter. He called me back in a couple of weeks and he said, and I quote, "Due to your rocky relationship with Governor Bullock and DFS, I was unable to obtain any information about your granddaughter." This is the chairman of the Oversight Committee. But I was sitting by the phone wondering what to do next. The phone rang, and it was my granddaughter. She said, "Grandpa, I'm in Kalispell. Can you come and get me?" I said, "Sure, hold on a bit, hide out, and we'll be there." I exercised my Second Amendment, of course, when I went to get her, just in case. So veterans, especially Vietnam veterans, we are careful that way. Mm-hmm. And I had to wait for a driver because I'm kind of decrepit from that Agent Orange. And while I was waiting, I got a call from DFS local office in Great Falls. Meet me at the gas station, and I will gas up your vehicle to get your granddaughter. I mean, it can be done. That's the way it should be done. But the retaliation is unbelievable. One time, I had 4 cop cars out here. I live out in the country ways, quite a ways. 4 cars out here with flashing lights, and all they wanted was a witness statement from my older grandson of an altercation that he had observed in town. And I don't see why they would be afraid. You know, us Vietnam veterans, we've got a kind of a bad reputation, but I disagree with that. I mean, after you've seen so much violence, you really don't want to have anything else to do with violence. We're about the most peaceable people on the planet. And this has been ongoing. I posted on Facebook about some shenanigans that DFS were pulling, and I was jailed. Judge Elizabeth Best told me in the courtroom, Mr. Walton, I am serious as a heart attack. You stay off Facebook. And hey, they don't have any pillows in that jail, you know? It's kind of uncomfortable, but the staff was, you know, considerate and so on. And I had no complaints with them. But when you're healing up from heart surgery, it's kind of nice to have a pillow with you. I did complain about that, but this just keeps on going. And here, a short time ago, a candidate, Republican candidate, not that it makes any difference, was exposing the malfeasance and corruption in our state government, and DFS came in and removed her grandkids, just like that, you know. And this goes on all the time.
This is John Walton, right?
Retaliation.
John, I'm on the page here right now. I'm showing the page here on the screen. You talk about Judge Best, Elizabeth Best, the one that threw you in jail for your Facebook post. She's the same one that gave this guy that had over 60 child sexual abuse crimes a 1-year sentence. That's the same Judge Best. John, did you have a question specifically for Pamela? Yep. Did you have a question for Pamela, John, specifically?
Do I have a question?
Yes, for Pamela.
When is this going to end? How can we make it
when your child turns 18 to 21 and they have her sign something?
What I see coming is people taking their rifles from behind their car seats, pickup seats, and doing it ourselves. You know, we saw terrible things happen to kids in Vietnam. That was war. Collateral damage and all that bullshit. But there's no war going on here. The only war we got going.
Oh, yes, there is, sir. I'm going to stop you right there. There absolutely is a war going on. There's absolutely a war going on. And you know what that war is? Separating children from their families. It's more important for these children to be taught you don't need a parent. It's Logan's Run. Get on the merry-go-round and die at when you turn 21. This absolutely is a way to keep low edified voters on a plantation that is run like a running train going towards socialism. Sir, we are absolutely in a soft coup war, and it is vicious. It may be bloodless right now. Let's hope to God that stays true, but we are absolutely in a war, and we have been in this war for 10 years. That's when most of America woke up and said, no more, not one more child. We're not putting up with this.
Pamela, when I've had numerous people on the show here who have lost their child to a custody hearing. They've lost custody of their children. A lot of them, once their children go into the foster care system, won't see them ever again because they don't give out the name of the foster parents as a rule because they don't want to have any the parents going after them, so to speak, and hassling them. And they've had people sitting out there devastated in the courtroom, devastated after they've just lost their children. And the social worker comes out and points their crooked finger in their face and says, "We got them now. Your kids are ours now." We're in a war. That's a war. That's a wartime footing. That's not we're in some mild disagreement with these people and it's a difference of opinions on things. Oh, no. This is an all-out freaking war.
Who are these people to arbiter how you're to raise your child? Some people are very gentle and overspoil their children. Does that mean we separate those people from their children? My God, no. You're a single person. You've got 1, 2, 3 children, maybe more. You are doing the best you can do. And someone's coming in and saying, "You're not doing very well." Do you know most caseworkers either have grown children, and it's only 1 or 2, and those children don't even talk to them, or they've never had kids. Now, if you've never had children, that means your personality, who you are at your core and your spirit, is so foul, no one even wants to marry you. No one wants to date you. No one wants to be with you. No one wants to procreate with you. When I tell you there is a personality archetype that the counties hire, you can take it to the bank. These are the same people I used to counsel in back when I was an LFMT. And I got to tell you, these are some whiny, emotional people. I was never the homecoming queen. 99% of us weren't. Not everyone can be a rock star. Deal with it. But these people have got an oozing wound on both shoulders. And my God, they're mountains. They're not even chips. They're mountains on their shoulders. And they plow these parents because they finally have what they think is strength and power. And they absolutely annihilate families. And they will. I told you I was going to get your kid. That is a B-type passive-aggressive sociopath, folks.
Yeah.
You have that kind of a caseworker, you call the administrator of your division and say, "I want a new caseworker immediately. This person is mentally ill, and I want them evaluated."
Yeah.
And they must.
Well, I think if we did, and we got another caller coming in, I think if we did the background checks on a lot of these CPS workers, I think we'd be alarmed, to say the least. I mean, I've had parents that have done background checks. Some of them have felonies, sometimes multiple felonies. It doesn't really matter. Hey, do you have a pulse, and are you willing to be the most evil, unscrupulous person on the planet? Oh, you are? Okay, great. You're hired. Come on in.
Yeah.
We got a spot for you.
it.
Matter of fact,
They
and
would love to have me if they thought I wouldn't wreck it from the inside out.
Well, and the more ruthless you are, and the more damage you do, that's directly in line to your promotion, your promotion track. I mean, joking, folks. When the more evil you are, and the more heartless you are, those are the people that are the directors. Those are the people that are the directors there of because they have no soul. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take another caller here. Caller, I see you're a Montana caller. Please state your first name and what great city in Montana you're calling from.
Oh, hi, Jim. This is Matt Furlong. I'm in Helena. I'm the president of the Montana Child Protection Alliance.
Furlong, my man. Good. Thanks for calling in, Matt. Appreciate it. Been a guest on my show before. I appreciate you calling in. How you doing today, Matt? How's everything going? Things we turning the corner here. You think in Montana, getting this criminality all under wraps, or we still got a long way to go? Your fingers on the pulse of it. I know.
I have some hope.
Please give us hope.
I have some hope. So just wanted to say one real quick thing, and that's that in the neighborhood I live in, we had more trick-or-treaters yesterday than we've had in the last 5 years. So I don't know what that says about COVID, but I think our children are saying we want to go out and live, and their parents are saying we want to help our children go out and live and be kids. But I've kind of been following Pam just a little bit, and she sure has a lot of knowledge, and she's on fire to help people and to take a stand. And I think, we need a lot more people to be educated in such a way that they can do that. I know that there's a huge amount of passion out there to make a change in what's going on. A lot of people start going down the road of advocacy, and they get burnt out after a year or 2 years, somewhere in there. And then we're not able to keep that sustainable force going. So it's like starting over with a new group of people every so often. One of the older people from the grandparents group years ago, and John's a member of that, who was on just before I got on. But they said, hey, we fought our battle. Now it's time to pass our sword off onto some newer blood. And, I appreciate that they have faith in some of us younger people to do some of that. But, if we're going to make changes, we got to be able to come in numbers, and we have to make some inroads where we haven't tried before, because sometimes, the best approach we've found is just charging the front door, and that's gotten us very little success. And my thought is we have to find other doors that haven't been explored before in order to make some changes. But I have a lot of hope with the new. I believe that Greg Gianforte is going to win this election, so I believe we'll have a new governor, one that cares about people instead of one that cares about protecting the bureaucrats. And I've just seen so much of child protection issues blow up in the last 8 years under Governor Bullock's regime. I was a therapeutic foster adoptive parent prior to him taking office, and after he took office, it was like, I don't want to be in the system anymore. Not only that, the system, we took some kids in that had a rough go at it, and as soon as they had a problem, child protection was starting to question our ability instead of questioning if there was some kind of a mental health diagnosis to look at. And to make a long story short, foster parents don't get the support they need, just as much as biological families aren't getting the support that they need as well. When I first started getting involved, though, I saw this documentary, and it was about how the Native Americans were separated from their tribes. The children were separated from their tribes and put into white families to try to wipe out the Native American culture. And later on, they made a public announcement that said we see that as genocide, and then that's wrong. Well, we're doing that again. We're doing that again with kids in, of all walks of life, and it's an attack on the nuclear family. It's an attack on people of faith and people that don't believe in the socialist way. And I just wonder what Pam's thoughts were on how to approach this systemically instead of trying to approach it one case at a time.
Well,
that's
amazing. Wow.
No, we got you. Go ahead, Pam. Go ahead, Pam.
Okay, so we've got 3 avenues that I've tried to get groups to follow before. It probably hasn't gone very far, very wide, because, as I say, I'm about, one drop in a bucket. I'm putting in my 1 drop at a time, and it'll take me forever to fill it up. So I absolutely agree. This must be a nationwide movement on its own. And it can't be the family rights movement off of Facebook, because that is just, I don't even know what to call that anymore other than just crazy chaos. There are some great information on Facebook through these various groups, but that seems to be about as far as we've gone in coalescing as a group and understanding what the problem is. Okay, great. We all get what the problem is. Now we're finding solutions. So the 3 that I have found: demand an OIG statewide audit of your CPS. Tony Triano is the head on this one and has been pushing for it. I have a federal audit that I requested from OIG Horowitz and got, but it will not be ready until January 2021. Every state must go through an audit every single year. Get your auditing board to talk to you. Now, as far as movement, legislation, get a legislator, sit down, rewrite legislation, and get FFPA into your state. As far as legislation, DA, if you have even 10 people calling a DA on one case, that DA would go, what the heck is going on, and would actually go and look. I always used to say, Can you imagine if we got 50 people to call on one case, how fast that case would be shut down, because you have 50 pairs of third party, not a party to the case, eyes on that DA. Why are you prosecuting these people? If we don't start backing each other up now, when are we going to find the strength to stand up and back one another? And the third one is to go to the FBI, which I know right now is like one of the dumbest damn things I can say to anyone, and forgive the damn, it is Sunday. I'm talking about the Auburn Dam. We need to go to the FBI, and we need to get them going on the federal DOJ side to back up the investigation of pure dereliction of duty and malfeasance of the law. Those are the three: legislation, DA, FBI. And we must go in forcible numbers. Go at 5 at a time, 10 at a time, 20 at a time. When we're hammering them constantly as a community going, why is Miss Jones's children out of her home? That husband's been beating her for 5 years. What do you think a DA is going to do? The last thing they want is to be too visible, because then we won't vote for them. And I bet Montana's probably had the same DA in various counties at least twice in a 2-term. They don't like to change. They just want to bring in the money and go on to their next thing, which is usually a legislator. Now, I'm sorry, any DA who is taking children and doesn't know what their county is doing, that person needs to be fired, period.
Matt, any response to all that?
What seems to be happening in Montana is that we have all these systematic people that are friends with each other, and that goes to EA, the judges, CPS. So we have these events, and we're kind of a smaller state. So we have these events like the Democratic convention that our state does. And they all go to that, and they all participate in the party. And then they go to these other events, and they participate, and they sit around the same tables and share drinks together. And so, like one of the judges, I recall him saying, "Oh, you'll never get me to believe that about this person." I'm not going to say their name, but because he's known him for 30 years, and as far as he's concerned, he walks on water. That's what the judge's statement was at a hearing for a family.
Which
another
that
one
proves
was
bias, does it not?
What's that?
That proves bias, does
That's
it not?
a clear bias.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's bias.
But what do you do? I mean, so all the way up to the top of our Montana Supreme Court, one of the judges that we have so many complaints on sits on the Judicial Review Committee of the Supreme Court. So he gets, I mean, I see these people protecting each other more than I.
We need to end the bar. We need to
sure
end the bar.
healthy.
The bar needs to go. The bar needs
It
to
needs
go.
to be an American licensing board. Yeah, I agree, James. I absolutely agree. And as far as
well, we need citizen review panels as well. I mean, that was the other thing I noticed is in CAPTA it talks about having citizen review panels. Well, under DPHHS, they decided that the State Advisory Council, which is made up of all the child protection specialists and favored people of child protection, is circling this board, and they won't let anybody from the outside on it. And they've decided that that's going to take the place of the Citizens Advisory Council Review Committee, and that's a requirement of CAPTA. So, and it's also part of Montana state law because they're trying to make sure we're in compliance. They've totally just tossed that out. Like, we don't need this.
I think with the administrative changes that are upcoming here, from what I'm understanding, that whole way of doing things is about to come to an abrupt end. It's all about to come to an abrupt end, Matt. So there is a great reason for hope based upon some of the people that I've talked to and the people that are going to be in charge of this whole thing when all this changes, all this gets switched around. This isn't going to go on very much farther. And I'm going to call once again on this broadcast, even in the state of Montana, if there are people that work for the DPHHS that have kidnapped children knowingly, they deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. You know what you've done wrong. You know you're not supposed to take children out of people, out of families, loving families' homes without due process. This is not rocket science. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. I think all these people need to be prosecuted for kidnapping. That's what I think, and I'm going to push for that as hard as I possibly can. The people that I know, and I make the phone calls, I'll call meetings with these people. I want them all thrown in jail for crimes committed against the families here in Montana. I know it's a strong statement, but hey, you know what? Won't be the first time. I think Matt's already dumped on the line. That's how I feel about the whole thing, Pam. I think these people need to go to prison. Prison for kidnapping children. Jail. And there's no immunity. Well, I was working for the DPHHS when that happened. Sorry. Too bad.
If I as a nurse screw up, I'm liable, not the hospital. I'm liable. I have to pay my own malpractice insurance. Okay, period. LFMT. I screw somebody up really bad, they can sue me. Why is it we can't sue a CPS worker unless it's on behalf of, I'm suing the county because a service they provide doesn't work? I'm sorry, we're not dealing with inhuman, well, we are dealing with inhuman entities, but these are human beings that are taking a job in your state, in your county. They cannot. Hardwick v. Rinkin, they have no immunity. We absolutely can put them under the jail. So why aren't they? Because it's near impossible. Why? Because of prosecutorial and judicial people in this process are keeping them afloat. So who's more important to hit? The people that are covering for the ghouls that become ghouls? Or do we go after the actual top? I was always taught, and my entire family, I'm an Adams. I've always been taught, you cut the head off the snake and the rest of the body dies. Why are we not going at the very top of this? I'm sick of boards. It's all stuff that we can use right now. Great. It's a tool in our toolkit. There should be one sword, one head, swipe, done moment. And right now, there are so many convoluted things you have to do just to keep hands on your children, much less bring them home.
By far,
awful.
The Congress is pretty corrupt. No doubt about it. But by far, way over the top of that is the judicial system, the judicial branch. Way over. I know, and no, folks, you're not going to believe that because the Congress and the legislative branch is pretty freaking corrupt. Don't get me wrong. They don't compare to the judicial branch. They just don't compare to them. They just don't. They create laws from the bench. They totally are off the rails. I cannot wait until there's a reform. Apparently, if we're going to be a government by the people, of the people, and for the people, like President Trump says we're going to have, then you know what? This whole judicial system has to be burnt to the ground and reestablished again, because we should only have constitutional courts where due process of law is undertaken on every single case. Like Martin said, every case you deserve. I mean, this is your life, folks. This is your children being taken away forever. This is potentially being locked away. What if you had life imprisonment and they didn't give you due process? And they just said, yeah, you know what? You can't bring the Constitution into this courtroom. Sorry, you can't even speak. We're going to gag you. You can't even defend yourself. But you're going to be going to prison the rest of your life. That's what goes on every day.
Right. I had a administrative assistant in the regional actually say, well, yeah, that stuff happens, but we just have too much. Then stop taking kids. Get it right the first time before you start taking massive amount of kids. Do your job properly, and we won't have these issues. It's demoralizing when we're sued. Boo-hoo! Welcome to the real world.
Too
Welcome
bad.
to normal professionals.
Yeah,
Welcome to the adult world of you go out and say you can do something, you damn well better do it if you're taking money.
How about it's called accountability? Let's have accountability. Folks, 515-602-9732. 515-602-9732 if you want to call in here and talk to Pamela Olson, founder of Save Our Children. Pam, let's do this here. Let's go through this exercise again because I think we can't do this too often. Let's do a little role playing here, a little scenario building. You're at home. You're at home with your children, minding your own business, having dinner or doing crafts. You knock on the door. You come to the door. You open the door, which most people do, and they're usually not afraid to open the door. And there is a worker there, I'm assuming with a badge, that says, we're here for Child Protective Services. We want to speak to you. Let's roll through the scenario of how do we advise parents to deal, just real world, because it's happening today all across the country. It'll happen again tomorrow, no doubt hundreds of times across this country. Walk us through the procedure, because, we don't want to get to the point where I've heard some cases where they have brought back the police and actually forced their way into the house to take the kids. I don't know how they could do that lawfully, but when the judges are involved on it, and the county, commissioners are involved on it, it's kind of hard. At any rate, go through, if you can, step by step the procedure that people should follow if the CPS comes knocking at their door tomorrow, God forbid.
Gotcha. All right. So make sure that you have a phone that can record audio or video. I prefer video. That way you can see and hear what's going on. Open the door. Yes, how can I help you? I'm a CPS worker and we've had a hotline tip that you and your children are unsafe. Take a breath, count to 3 before you answer. What exactly is the allegation being alleged, Miss Caseworker, because they're usually female? I can't discuss that with you. Then we're not having this discussion unless you can tell me what the allegation is. I have no electricity. I have no hot water. I don't have enough food. I'm beating the hell out of my kids. Do tell me what it is the concern is. If you can't tell me what the risk or danger I am to my child and the concern as to why you're here with a law enforcement officer, I'm absolutely stopping this right now. I will meet you at a place of my choosing and my date and time to discuss with you whatever phone call it is you think you've received. They're going to come up with, well, that's not process, that's not procedure, that's not how we do it. You ignore that, CPS worker. You look at the officer and say, officer, if you would like to come in and verify that my heat is on, my air conditioning is on, my electricity is on, my hot water and cold water are running, and it's clean water, unless you live in Flint, Michigan, that is. Sorry, just had to put that in there. You have beds, your children have food, your children are safe. No, you may not sit down and talk to my children unless I can be a silent observer for emotional care to my children. You may not talk to my children alone, Mr. Officer.
Let's pause for a second. Let's pause for a second on that, because I had a woman I talked to yesterday where the CPS worker came to her house and took their 15-year-old son aside and talked to him privately. As far as I'm concerned, a child's even a legal entity until they're 18 years old, right? I mean, are they even legally allowed without a parent to talk to a minor? I don't care what department or what agency it's from.
That's why they need your permission. I didn't even talk over you. I'm sorry. It just makes me nuts.
Yeah,
they do not have a right to anything in your life. It is forcing you to comply. They have no law on their side but common law, which is why we go to the officers. Now, if it's an LEO, me personally, I prefer a sheriff's deputy because they're constitutionally upholding all of our constitutional rights at the county and state level. They're the highest. The sheriff is the highest power in any given county. You're having a problem? You give them a call. You come and check this out. I've got some weird woman out here that I've never seen before making wild allegations. I've seen children taken out of homes where the caseworker went to the wrong home. And the people even told the caseworker, this is not who we are. And they swatted and took those kids. Did it even hit the MSM? No, because they returned those kids within 24 hours and even said, we're so sorry, but you have to understand. No, we don't have to understand anything. We're simply doing our jobs. That family will be suing that state for a lot of freaking money because those kids to this day are absolutely terrorized. So you have this officer, and I prefer a sheriff's deputy. Go ahead and have him ask him, please create a report for me of everything you've seen here today. You must say that. I am asking or requesting you fill out a full report that shows there is no deficit here with me, with my children, or in my home. Once that happens, CPS is now screwed. There's not a damn thing they can do. He goes out, he informs the caseworker, and you tell him, because they are the hired help, your taxes pay for them. They're the staff. You tell that staff, you go out and you deal with CPS. I'm not talking to her anymore. And as soon as he's out your door, you shut and you lock the door. Now, if they're really going to press, that's when you call a sheriff. If a sheriff is there and they're just muscling their way in, you get the OIG on the phone immediately. You get the DA on the phone immediately, and you let them know what is going on, especially when they have no pickup order, a PCO. They have no signed warrant. They're usually blank, and they just kind of scrawl them in. It doesn't even look like a legal document because it's not constitutionally anyway. So absolutely not. If they have to swat you to take your kids, they will use that fact against you, that you weren't complying. I'm sorry, where does it say we must comply? They can request that we comply. That doesn't mean we need to. And we can't be punished for not complying. Get a judge's order. get a judge's order and show me where there's actually a deficit under the county statutes and mandates that I'm breaking. If you can't do that, get out of here and shut the door. Don't give them any information. Well, your ex-wife, your ex-husband, your ex-mother-in-law, your ex-father-in-law, the children's grandparents state, I don't care. None of that. You can't prove it. None of that is going on. You want to send an investigator to my home? Please do, because I understand you are not an investigator, Miss CPS, Mr. CPS, Mr. Barely even got a GED and 36 hours of training. Get out of here. Get out of my front door. I will meet with you at a place of my choosing and time. I am happy to bring pictures. I am happy to prove to you none of these allegations are currently going on.
Pamela, I want to get your thoughts on something here, and I've stated on the broadcast. I don't know if I've stated it since you've in our show. 515-602-9732, folks. 515-602-9732. I think that we're going to find out when a lot of this stuff comes out from these laptops, this information that's been, this blackmail material, basically, I think that they found on these laptops. Some of them trace back to apparently crimes against children. Certainly the ones with Hillary's laptop, Fox News reported, if you can believe that, before they sort of turned south, they reported that there's crimes against children on these laptops. It's my belief, Pam, and when I say my belief, I'm not 100% sure, but pretty darn sure when all this comes out, if we ever do get the full truth on things, I think we're going to find that the Child Protective Services system was a conduit, was a pipeline for children, for sex trafficking all across the country, not just in your town. Just because your child was taken in your county doesn't mean they stayed in your county. They could be across the country, folks. And how would you know when they don't release the information of the foster families because they don't want to have riffraff, conflict, I should say, or have the parents going and beating the foster family down, so they don't really let that information out. Sometimes people find it, but they don't generally provide it. This is, I think we're going to find that the network is much larger and much more organized than we even think, Pam. And I know we're pretty on top of it, pretty sharp. I bet it even goes deeper than we can even imagine. You got any thoughts on that?
88 to 90% of all children who enter foster care, regardless of age, whether you're 1 day old or you're almost 18, 88 to 90%, according to the DOJ, the National Board of Bar Association Lawyers, Pediatrics, the American Pediatric Association, all of them have backed up these stats. 88 to 90% of all children who are taken out of their homes by the entity known as CPS specifically are either sexually abused in that foster home, because foster parents aren't watching anybody. They're just cashing their checks that they don't have to pay income tax on. And that includes illegal aliens getting 16 something to 18 something a month per each child, depending on their age here in California. Gavin Newsom allowed that. Brown set it up. Illegal aliens who don't even speak English are taking care of California's children. It's illegal as heck. And yet it's gone on now for 6 years. When I bring it up in my clients' cases, I have cases where, that's okay. We do it all the time. We do it all the time. 88 to 90% of these children are sexually abused, and CPS has no answer for it because they know that is poop on their shoe.
No. Here's the answer for it. Don't let that information out because we don't want to look bad. That's what their information is. Pam, we got 2 more callers just popped in here while we were having our conversation. We're going to take them in order that they came in. Let's take the first caller first. Caller, you're live on the air. Go ahead and give out your first name, please, and the state that you're calling from.
Hi, Jim and Pamela. This is Lisa from New York. I'm so glad to find you here today.
Hi, Lisa from New York. How are you?
I have a quick question.
You've called them before, yes, Lisa?
I'm doing. Yes, I have.
Good. Thank you for calling in. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to follow up with something that Pamela had mentioned before about child support, and wondered if, Pamela, you could elaborate a little bit. Someone I'm working with recently had money confiscated from their bank account and is now without any funds because of child support agency just running rampant with this child support pretend order. And it's just seems very unlawful, and I'm wondering what can be done. I know you mentioned something, so if you wouldn't mind just elaborating, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lisa,
and
for
we'll
calling.
be talking Monday, Lisa. Lisa's awesome in New York, guys. Just wow. She's fighting her own battle and she's already helping other parents. I mean, just wow. The best thing, this is always a two-step process, guys. Okay, two-step. One, it is unlawful and illegal under common law within a JDC CPS case. No judge may be able to put a judgment of child support on you while in a reunification case. That is all 50 states. So if some idiot from some county puts in a judgment summary for child support and you're in a CPS reunification case, you can fire the person that put in the judgment summary, the judge that accepted the judgment summary, and the idiot county that is robbing your bank account. You let the bank know. This is an unlawful process. They did not send you the paperwork. You must stop them from taking any more money or I'm going to sue you, Mr. Bank. Oh, and that's a fun one. I love scaring the hell out of banks that do that. Wells Fargo and Bank of America are the two largest banks that operate CPS. And who is on their oversight board? Maximus! Vitamin. Geez, I almost said vitamin. What is it? Title IV, E and D. That is their biggest. And all of our central medicalized information, folks. Maximus is who's being set up by the bad side, the goal side, to run all the services and money for CPS Global. It's terrifying. That's what they're trying, the Great Reset. That's what this is part of about. The second step is to get your butt down to where that child support division is. Put in a full packet. You're going to have an income and expense report. It's very easy to fill out. It takes me 15 minutes. Then you go in and say, hey, I'm in a reunification case, and this was a judgment summary. I want all of my money, and I want 15% fines back to me because I was unable to do my car so I could go do a visit or go do a service, and I was penalized for it because I didn't have the money because you guys literally socked my entire account dry. You get no joy, which you should. 9 times out of 10, that works. If you're the 1% out of 10 that it's not working, that's when you go directly to the DA and you make a filed complaint that this is happening in this county and is illegal. And that DA must pick that up and go and investigate it, and they're the ones that then deal with it. Unfortunately, you still get rated until the DA finishes out their investigation, but quite literally, that's what we're looking at.
Lisa, I had to jump. We got a couple more callers. Thanks for calling in, Lisa. Let's pick up our next caller here. Looks like it's a Montana call. Caller, please state your name and what city from Montana you're calling from. Go ahead, Montana.
This is John Walton again.
Okay, John, hold on. I got another caller coming. Let me put you back on hold, and if I can, let me take the other. Go ahead.
I sent you a message.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you,
caller. We're just trying to keep. If you called in once already, let other callers get in. Okay. So let's answer this call. Caller, you're live on the air. Please state your name and what state you're calling from. Go ahead, caller. You're up. Caller, you there? Go ahead. Just speak. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, this is you. You're live. Who? Just state your name.
Okay.
State your name where you're calling from.
Okay, Richard, calling from Astoria, Oregon.
Hey, Richard from Oregon. How are you? Thanks for calling in.
I'm good. This is for Pamela about foster care. I had a friend that fostered a lot of kids, and one time I was over there at his house, and he was cooking dinner, and he was cooking steaks and really good food for his kids. But I noticed for the Mexican foster kids he was taking care of, he was cooking them hot dogs. And so that abuse can also happen in these foster homes that really nobody knows what's going on because they're in it for the money and they're going to do everything they can. There may be some good foster parents out there. That's okay. But what I saw was an abuse, and I said, that's not right. You should cook good food for all the kids. And he was just in it for the money because he had 4 kids of his own. And I'm sure that's what his bottom line was when he budgeted money for his kids and his family, that he only left a little over for the food for the foster kids.
It's so common. And I really appreciate people like you calling in and letting us know. There are good people out there. Are they the majority? Sadly, they are not. I wish they were, because that would be one less problem these parents would have to worry about. Wouldn't it be lovely if going through this, you've got someone on your child's side taking care of your child, because it's not about us. It's about our children. So I absolutely agree with you. And that is just, I understand it. It's lowbrow thinking, it's low emotional, and it's low spirituality for your fellow man. That's a ghoul. I'm sorry, but that's a ghoul.
Well, we're just about out of time, caller. I had you on hold here. Does that answer your question, caller? Did you have just a comment? Did you have a question for Pamela? You did.
No. Okay. Thank you. And I came into this conversation late, so I probably missed quite a bit. So I'll have to go back and listen to it. But she's right on. There's a person named James Freeman. He's a First Amendment auditor on YouTube, and he tried going into one of these agencies, and they denied him access. And he wanted to go in there and ask them a lot of questions about the child care and what they're doing and what their services were, and he was denied to go in. And now they're
okay. So if he wants to get in, all he has to do is find a parent that has a case in that county and become a third party, not a party to the case. They can't keep him out.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that,
okay,
caller?
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks for calling. Okay, Pam, we're just the show's almost over here. We're out of callers, and the show's coming to an end here just in a moment. Why don't you go ahead and give out again before we go here? We got about 3 minutes. Why don't you go ahead and give out your email addresses, info like that, and then since we just got a minute or so left, give if you can an action item for parents that are out there right now that want to get involved. Give them one action item. And it's not like, you don't have to build a 12-story building. This is just going to be something real easy and simple that if we all did a little bit, then we could, then together it could be a lot. So go ahead and Pamela, give out the goods, and then give us something good to leave on, something positive to leave on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me on again, James. This is so important. And I know there are people better than us that can do this, but they're not standing up just yet. And when you do stand up, I will sit down and I will follow.
That's right.
Please give me an email with a brief description if you have a case. If it's very complex, it can take 3 to 6 months to undo a complex case, but it's work. It's a lot of work, and it's well worth it because we're going to get your child back, or at least get some justice for you. So never give up hope, guys. Do not give up hope. This is a psyop. This is a bad, bad department that is literally treating you like an abusive spouse. Okay. And I want you to look at them that way. So stay sharp, stay focused, stay professional. Yes, no, and I don't know. When you are dealing with these people, copious notes, audio and video wherever you can. If you can follow somebody else who's got a case so that you can stand up and learn about the process, please do so. For right now, get me on Save Our Children, ca@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. You can find me on Critical Disclosure or Northwest Liberty with James here on video. We will coalesce and finish getting the rest of this information, which at this point, I'm wondering how much we should even do because we're about to change, folks. We are so close to the precipice of breaking down CPS foundation top down and blow it away. We are so close. So for right now, please watch our videos. That has the most amount of meat, especially when we're dealing with not just California or just Montana. The action for this week, everybody in the county get at least one group together that can call. Usually elderly people or people my age, 55 and older, are available. They will start calling DAs. They will start looking into these cases. We need private citizens to investigate. Is this a righteous case or not? And if it's a righteous case, why isn't the DA arresting them? Because that happens too.
Right.
Okay. So literally, that is our action for this month. For the month of November, we are in Deo des Muertos. We are at, All Saints Day. This is the day to pray, to come together, and literally talk about we need to save our children.
90 seconds.
As you can see, we have about 90 seconds left for this program. And I'm going to get rid of that girl one of these days. I'm going to get rid of that voice. That voice keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Pamela Olson, thanks so much for being here. Save Our Children CA at gmail.com. Save Our Children CA. Always dynamite stuff. Pamela Olson, you're, I tell you, I stand on the shoulders of people like you that have done this work for so long, and thank you so much for all you've done.
60 seconds.
We're just out of time, folks. We'll be back next week, Lord willing, with Pamela Olson for the another show with Collins. Thanks so much for looking in. For my guest, Pamela Olson, this is James White saying thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next time. This is Critical Disclosure Radio. Bye now.
Ten seconds.